What's up everyone, and welcome back to Top 5 Central. Today we're looking at the top 10 deadliest amusement parks you won't believe exist. Now last week we did the most insane water slides you won't believe exist, and man, you guys loved it so much as it became our second most viewed video ever, so I thought we'd bring you this episode. Now keep in mind, this series is picked out by you the viewer, and Adam Smith suggested that we do water parks. If you want your own shout out in our next episode, make sure you leave a like on the video, comment the suggestion, and be subscribed, and you may get a shout out just like Adam. Anyways, with that said, let's get right into the video. Number 10. Water slide at Waterworld, USA. In 1997, a terrible tragedy hit the Waterworld in Concord, California. So water slides have always been a top cause of theme park injuries due to their lack of safety precautions. They usually have shorter walls, and there's always a pretty good risk of taking a hit to the head on a speedy turn. That's not what happened at Waterworld though. On the tragic day, 33 high schoolers crowded the slide and caused it to collapse under their weight. One person died from a crushed chest, and the other 32 were taken to the hospitals around the local area. 17 of them were left in a wheelchair for the rest of their lives. Number 9. Battersea Funfair. Battersea Funfair was a London-based theme park and hosted the worst roller coaster tragedy in British history. The event happened in 1972 when an old wooden roller coaster had a mechanical failure. The roller coaster was the main attraction of the park and was used near constantly. But one of the pitfalls of wooden coasters is that they wear down quickly. In this case, the fault came from two places at once. One of the carriages was being pulled up to the first drop of the coaster when it suddenly snapped. In such an event, the coaster is meant to have like an anti-rollback mechanism, but that failed too. This double fail led to the chain of cars barreling into a boarding area. Horrifyingly, it actually killed 5 children and seriously injured 13 others. The funfair closed 2 years later under claims of negligence. Number 8. Overseas Chinese Town. Before 2010, the eco-adventure journey in Shenzhen, China was a pretty cool ride. The ride was designed to simulate a rocket launch, but in June of 2010, the ride led to the deaths and injuries of multiple people. The ride was essentially a train of cars inside a centrifuge that spun around at high speeds while a screen showed movies about space. Halfway through the process, one of the cars of the ride came loose and lost power. The dome that the cars whirled around in came free and ricocheted around the chamber that the ride was held in, starting an electrical fire. The events of that day took the lives of 6 people, critically injured 5 others, and seriously injured another 5. The reports say that the tragedy was caused by a faulty screw, which forced the 5-ton dome to come free. Number 7. Human Trebuchet at Middlemore Water Park. In medieval times, a trebuchet was one of the most powerful weapons in an army's arsenal. It was used as a siege weapon, designed specifically to bust down the walls of castles and send flaming objects into the depths of a settlement. It was never designed to throw live humans as a means of entertainment though. It was pretty obvious then that the human trebuchet that Oxford's Dangerous Sports Club had built for Middlemore Water Park would lead to a catastrophe. And that was exactly what happened. During the testing phase, 2 Oxford undergraduate students missed a safety net and impacted the ground, killing them instantly. Jesus Christ, man. Number 6. Derby Racer Roller Coaster. The Derby Racer in Massachusetts was one of the first wooden roller coasters ever made. It was originally constructed in 1911 and was laid out in a simple figure 8 design. Now this was in the early days of roller coasters, and the safety standards were nowhere close to the levels of inspection and safety that coasters have today. Not long after the ride was opened, a young man was catapulted from the coaster. Unfortunately, he died on impact. 6 years later, another man was killed on the coaster after being thrown from the ride and run over. The third fatality happened when another rider was thrown from the train. The final third death resulted in a court case against Ocean View Amusements who ran the ride. It was demolished in 1936, only to be built again a year later and then demolished for the last time in 1948. Number 5. Action Park. Action Park in New Jersey fits its name. The action is non-stop and has led to the deaths of many. It was opened in 1978 and closed not even 20 years later in 1996 due to reports of injury and a steady decline in customers. The most dangerous attraction at Action Park was arguably the wave pool. It was the first wave pool of its kind and had a constant outfit of 12 lifeguards who saved an average of 30 people over every weekend. In 1982, a 15-year-old boy drowned. 2 days later, a 20-year-old drowned and then another 18-year-old in 1987. It was shut down in 1996 because of multiple lawsuits and reopened as Mountain Creek Water Park in 1998 after some seriously upgraded safety precautions. What's crazy though is that they actually changed their name back to Action Park in 2014. Number 4. The Haunted Castle at Six Flags Great Adventure. The event at the Haunted Castle at the Six Flags Great Adventure theme park in New Jersey has been called the worst accident in the history of theme parks by some. It's kinda surprising because the haunted house isn't even really a ride. People didn't sit in a carriage or hang from a suspended coaster or even go down a slide, they just walked around inside. It all happened in 1984 when the castle burst into flames. It literally had fire as hot as 2,000 degrees. It was a miracle that most of the people inside the castle escaped safely. Unfortunately, this story doesn't have a happy ending. 8 teenagers became trapped within the fire. All of them died. What's crazy is that the ride was considered a temporary structure, and because of that they had no smoke detectors or sprinklers inside the haunted castle. The flames could not be put out, and those within didn't know what was happening until far too late. Number 3. Expoland. The Fujin Raijin 2 was a coaster at Expoland in Osaka, Japan. The park itself was a thriving amusement park and had been open for 37 years until the events of May 5th, 2007. The event is considered the worst amusement park disaster to ever happen in Japan. During a standard run, the Fujin Raijin 2 roller coaster derailed. Its cars were sent flying off its high tracks. A 19-year-old university student was killed in the crash and 19 others were injured. After heavy investigation, it was found out that a broken axle was the cause of the accident, and that none of the ride's axles had been replaced for as long as 15 years. Number 2. Kings Island. In 1991, death had laid its cold grip around the Kings Island amusement park in Mason, Ohio. In one incident, a man fell into a pond so his friend and a park employee both tried to get him out. All 3 were electrocuted, leading to the death of the park employee and the man who was trying to rescue the guy who had fallen in. What's crazy though is the guy who fell in actually survived. Just an hour later though, someone fell from a ride called the Flight Commander in a completely unrelated incident and died from the impact. Ever since this, the grounds of Kings Island have been rumored to be haunted, with some reporting to have seen a little girl in a blue dress wandering the grounds alone. Number 1. Mindbender. The Mindbender at Galaxyland Amusement Park in Canada has been called one of the safest rides in the world by its German manufacturers. It was an indoor triple loop coaster and caused one of the worst accidents of all time in 1986. A series of missing bolts on the inner left wheel of the ride caused the car to release itself from the track. It spun out wildly, colliding with supports and throwing final passengers off before finally impacting a concrete pillar. 3 of the people on the ride were killed, some falling to their deaths while others left hanging on the track. The 4th rider was seriously injured on his chest and neck. And there's our video on the top 10 deadliest amusement parks you won't believe exist. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to leave a like down below and subscribe so you see whenever we upload a video. Also, if you have your own top 5 or top 10 idea, feel free to use our extremely handy form in the description to submit it. With that said, thank you all for watching, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.